Hello, everyone. My name is Idowu Akinde. Everyone calls me ID. Moving on in our series on season 2 now, where we're discussing problem validation. Today, we'll be discussing the topic of, a tool, a technique for analyzing problems called the pain opportunity matrix. I like this, this is one of my favorites. I actually have it on my wall right now. I'm looking at it on the wall, but we'll design it on the whiteboard and we'll take a look at it together, right? But it's one of my favorite tools for analyzing problems. So without much further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so there is a simple trick or technique or tool, right, that I have found is incredibly useful in the field of innovation, startup building, this kind of endeavor, problem solving. If you've ever been to a hospital, right, recently, right, and maybe you had some kind of minor surgical procedure, just for the purpose of discussion, say you had a minor surgical procedure recently. Your doctor might have asked you a question, right? Say just for the purpose of this conversation, maybe you had a cut somewhere, and they needed to do a suture, and this was 2 days ago, right? And the doctor said, they discharged you on that day. They said, don't worry, go home, dress it in the morning, dress it in the evening, but come back to us after 2 days, right? And you are there now on the third to see the doctor, right? For a follow-up visit. And the doctor says, hi, ID, what's up? How's that pain? Can you describe for me today? Let's say that the pain you felt 2 days ago was a 10/10 pain. Can you describe for me today the kind of pain that you are feeling on a scale of 1 to 10? And usually you are able to, because of the way that question was framed, you are able to say, relative to 2 days, relative to the pain of 2 days ago, this looks like I think I'm feeling a 7/10 today, or maybe a 9/10. Oh, the doctor is like, okay, maybe the antibiotics, maybe the painkiller we're giving you is not working, for you, or something, right? If it's a 9/10, or if it's still a 10/10. But if you say it's a 7/10, then the doctor feels, okay, we're making progress. It's healing, probably it's healing, or probably the painkiller is doing its work. Do we need to increase the dose? I'm not a doctor, disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, but I'm just, trying to give a scenario. You see that simple sentence that the doctor asked you. Dear ID, how are you feeling today in terms of pain? Can you describe the pain that you're feeling today on a scale of 1 to 10? Fantastic question. And an absolute genius tool for helping us understand the frustration in the lives of the customers that we are trying to serve. Let me explain. At this point, let me share my screen, and then we can, make progress from there. There you go. If we take a chart like this, okay, just for a moment, focus only on the y-axis. I've labeled the y-axis pain, okay? I've labeled the y-axis pain. We are going to estimate, okay, and the maximum value on the y-axis is 10, right? From 0 to 10. So we are going to now record the answer that our customer gives us. So essentially, we're going to take this question, we're going to copy and paste this question from the medical field, from the field of surgery, into the field of innovation and startups. So we're going to say, dear customer, we discussed last week, or 2 weeks ago, and you said you have this pain. This is a situation in your life that is frustrating to you. Dear Baba Moshe, this is a problem that you told us that you have. Can you help me understand on a scale of 1 to 10, how painful is this problem to you? Okay, well, simple question. Don't go further than that. Just ask that. Whenever people, so you see some kind of color coding here, right? You see some things here that have a red line. You see a green line, and then you see a blue line. I'll explain what those mean now. Generally speaking, if you ask 100 potential customers, right, this simple question of, can you describe for me the severity of your pain? Okay. And they tell you, and majority of those results, the majority of those answers hover around 2. Maybe they're 2.5 or they're 1.8 or something like that, right? The average is around 2. Then you know that you have a problem that customers acknowledge is a problem, but, we'll come back to that. That's a problem that they acknowledge that it's a problem, but in terms of severity, they say to you, they admit to you that it is a 2/10 in terms of severity. So just note that, okay? Just note that, okay? You look at this, you ask them another question. This other problem that we discussed, can you describe for me this other problem? Is it a 2/10 or a 9/10? And then the customer tells you, oh, that second problem, this new problem that you're talking about, the second one is a 7/10. Oh, okay. You mark that, right? And you take a census from 100 of them, you mark that as well as a 7/10. Okay? 7/10. And then you ask a third question, problem number 3 that we discussed, that you face on a daily basis, or that you face in your life, how painful is it? And they tell you that it's a 5. What you've just done is that you have helped this customer, prospective customer, this prospect, to force rank the problems in their life. And they have just told you that problem 2, okay, the second one that you described, is a 7/10, okay? Problem 1 is a 2/10, and problem 3 is a 5/10. Now, what do all these mean? And then we'll quickly go to the whiteboard and we'll do a practical exercise and we'll close it on that. What does this mean? This actually means that whenever you have things that are a 2 or hover around 2, things that are a 2 and below, actually you are describing, you have found what is called a minor irritation. I cannot count the number of times that I've found that the founder that's talking to me, perhaps in office hours or wherever we meet, the founder that's talking to me is actually trying to build $1 million business on a minor irritation. The problem is not the way the founder sees the problem. The problem is the way the customer, the potential customer, sees that problem. No matter how much the founder likes this particular problem or feels drawn to this particular problem, if a customer admits to you, verbally or otherwise, right, through observation, that a particular problem is a 2/10 to them in terms of severity, I can almost promise you that what you have found, what you have discovered is not really a painful problem. It's what's called a minor irritation. And guess the risk with minor irritations. Minor irritations are the types of problems that when you offer the solution to that problem to the customer will like you and they will appreciate you and they will thank you, right? And they will happily use that product because it is free. But the day you need to monetize and you go back to that customer and say, dear customer, we need to and you introduce a paywall for some or all aspects of that service, that customer is going to run away and they'll never touch your product again. You know why? Because in their minds, the cost of paying you is greater than the cost of that pain in their lives. That's why, generally speaking, 2, 2.5, 3, and below are things that I ignore. So again, if I have a basket of 67 problems, right, and I plot them on a chart like this, I kind of have a sense of direction as to which 5 are going to be juicy problems to solve. Now, guess what? Problem 2, 7 over 10. What does that mean, actually? It means that on the scale of 1 to 10, this particular customer has admitted to you that problem 2 is 7 over 10 severe to them. Oh, guess what that means? Anything that is a 7 and above is what you call a sweet problem, right? Or a good problem, and we'll talk about the good problem method in 2 episodes from now. Okay, now what's the beautiful thing about good problems, 7 over 10 and above? The beautiful thing about them is that the more painful a problem is, the higher the probability that people will pay for it. So compared and contrasted with the 2 over 10 problem that we discussed earlier, where your customers loved your product as long as it was free. The moment you introduced a paywall, they ran away. If you introduce a paywall to a 7 over 10 problem that was previously free to access, people will pay. Because the cost of paying, well, depending on how you price it, because the cost of paying is less than the cost of allowing this situation, this painful 7 over 10 situation, to remain in their lives. Okay, so that's that, so, and then that 5 over 10 generally is borderline. It's not exactly disastrous, but it's not promising. If you can do better, go for problems that are higher up there. And then, so that's the y-axis. We focused on the y-axis. That's where the pain is. That's the pain meter. The x-axis is your opportunity axis. And opportunity essentially is some kind of volume or population or number of potential people that you can find. So in the typical example where you are trying to model this for a particular real problem that you're trying to solve, what you would say is, how many people can I find? How many customers can I find that are experiencing this problem at a 2 and below? At a level of 2 over 10, okay? I think at this point it would be instructive to do the whiteboard now. And where are you? Sorry. All right, so let me just stop this and then we'll open the whiteboard. There you go. All right, so let's have a new one. All right. We'll just quickly do where's the line? This is the line. We'll just quickly do a straight line there. Another one. Another one there. Okay. So this is our pain severity. Okay. And then we can do this. Okay. And I don't want to waste time with this, but let's give it an arrow ending. Okay, that's a waste of time. Okay. Opportunity. Let's call this, let's just say that, just for simplicity's sake, let's say that we call this market size, okay? It's not exactly accurate to call it the market size, but let's call that the market size, okay? Okay. I'll waste time with this. Yeah. So what we just modeled is something where we have a 5 would be somewhere here, right? Let's just say that this is a 5. This is a 2. And this is not looking good. And this is a 10. Okay. All right. So let's say that we have this, okay? And then we have a green line here. Okay. We have a red line here. I think I should raise this just a little bit. Yeah, let's say that that's 2. Perfect. And we have so let's change this to color blue. And then let's do a 7 somewhere here. Okay, to represent what we modeled on the other side. Awesome. So sometimes you have certain problems. So let's just, for the purpose of discussion, say that Nigeria is, like we always say, 200, or let's say Africa is, well, Nigeria is 200 million people, right? So this is a 200 million total maximum size. Okay. And 100 will be somewhere here. 50 would be somewhere here. And 150 will be somewhere here. Okay. What we've just done is that we can then plot and say, oh, how many people can we find that are experiencing this problem at a level of 2 and, at a level of 2? Say we can find 20 million people, right? 25 will be somewhere. Let's say we can find 25 million people. We will then do this and say, help me draw a line. Let's call it, okay, somewhere here. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Let me change that to, how many people are experiencing this problem at a 5? Let's call that this. How many people are experiencing this problem at a 3? Let's call that maybe 150 million, right? I mean, if you have this kind of analysis, right, for the different problems that you came back from the exercise, from the Baba Moshood exercise with just to cite an example, you have a mental framework for saying, oh, 7 over 10 problems are problems that people like to pay for. Yeah, they will pay because they can see how, they will pay because they can see how useful. They can see how much your solution takes away, relieves the pain that they had previously before your solution. They will then compare in their minds and say, don't worry, it's okay, I'll pay. Don't worry, I'll pay. Because the reality of their pain is forefront on their minds, right? So the best scenario is where you can find situations where there is a direct one-to-one mapping, where you can find a problem that is a 7/10, and you can find a lot of people. That's the best kind of startup, right? Because if 7/10 guarantees you that people will pay 7 and above, right? So you found a 7, and that's very good. Now, the next question is, how many people can you find that are experiencing that problem at that 7/10 level? And if you can find a lot of people, then hey, you found a problem that people that will most likely that you can build a successful business upon, so in all other things being equal, and so on and so forth. So in a nutshell, this pretty much is what I have to share today on the topic of the pain opportunity matrix. This is a pretty useful tool, as you can see. Please let me know in the comments if you think it's useful, or if there's something that I missed out to talk about. Happy to chat in the comments. But essentially, this is one of the tools that can be useful for startup founder to analyze when they have a lot of candidate problems to solve. Thank you very much. As I always say, thank you for tolerating my hallucinations. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.